welcome to our printing map and reports from ArcGIS web application technical session. I would like to welcome you all. You came here today in person, and we'd like to welcome everyone who's joining online today from across the globe, whether you are sitting in a lounge in the airport or in the plane, we don't know, or maybe having a cup of coffee. It might be in morning, good morning to you, good afternoon, good evening to everyone who is coming to our sessions. Thank you so much. My name is Tanu Hoque, and I'm a product engineer in ArcGIS Pro team. I can even talk today. And I'm also responsible for ArcGIS print service, map service, and other things. Joining me here today, Jill and Noah, also helping with us on the online questions. Please keep sending out online questions. You'll monitor that. Jill, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Jill Scholz. I am a product engineer on the ArcGIS Pro team. Today, I'm bringing the ArcGIS Pro building reports side of this workflow. Yeah, that's what I've got. Shall we get started?
Yes. All right. Let's get going. So before we go that, please make sure at the end of that session, give us your feedback. We really want your feedback. We'd like to know what you like, what you did not like, or what you want us to cover in the future, because those are very, very helpful, right, to us. So we can improve and continue help you to get your workflow successful, right? Okay, with that one, today's agenda, we're going to talk a little briefly about our custom templates thing that we support in ArcGIS Online and Enterprise, just very quickly, but we'll be mostly focusing on reports. There are two types of reports we're talking about, right? One is basically the layout base, and another is report base. What's the difference? Is the report base is basically what you're seeing in the upper right corner for screen that has a map and multiple pages, right? Whether you want to see the data in tabular format or you want to see features, one feature per page with the related records, attachments, all kind of fancy things. We'll be talking about, and you can do that with this report templates. And obviously the report templates, you need the layout templates to combine them, but that is optional. The map piece is optional. And Jill will be covering that very soon and going detail how you can create report templates. The second one is the one you're looking at the bottom of the screen. That is basically a one-page report. It's basically the layout template. There is no report templates needed. It's just you want to show some attributes coming from features, maybe some attribute tables, some summary statistics you want to show. That you can do it from there. Okay. And yeah, that's all it is. And then we'll just, yeah. So before I get to the second page is that custom templates. We talked about that, Noah and I talked about that just like half an hour ago in our previous session. So I'm not going to deep dive into that one. Basically, right now in ArcGIS Online, we have a beta program where you can actually upload your own template, that layout template you create from Pro, and you just simply use that with your print widgets. You don't have to publish a print service on Enterprise or ArcGIS Online. Obviously, you cannot publish, but you are not stuck with those 8 templates. You can have your own templates. So it's in the beta. Please try it out and let us know the feedback. Okay. With that one thing we'll not cover is obviously is that we're not gonna, as I said, we're not gonna cover the basic print service. We already talked about that one. We already have some help topic, and we have some videos, links somewhere, and we talked about that one, right? So yeah, we're not gonna, as I said, and we just talked about the previous session. So if you missed that session, I believe it will be recorded, and you can watch it later. With that, I'll hand it over to you, Jill, to take us through the whole process of how to generate reports.
All right. Thank you. Let's make sure you can see. All right. So let's start with a few basics. What is a report? So a report can be created from any data source with a table, and that data source does not need to be in your current Pro project in order to use it. It can contain additional dynamic elements, such as related reports, sub-reports, and attachments. There are 2 ways to create a new report, and that is from the context menu of a map layer or from the Insert tab. Either option will open the Create New Report pane where we can set the initial properties of our report. When we click Finish, we will create that report and it will be opened for you. In the catalog pane, a reports folder will show up, and that's going to contain all of the reports in the project. Now, a report view may look like a layout, but a layout is a representation of a literal page. This is not that, okay? Excuse me. Think of a report view as a design space. There are no margins seen, and it can often appear taller than a literal page because of how a report is built. In this instance, we have an 8.5 by 11 page, but our ruler is reflecting 6.5 inches wide because of those two 1-inch margins that are not being shown. This allows us to keep all of our elements within the confines of that margin. Now, a report document can have many sections, and each report section represents a single data source, in addition to any related data for that source. Supplemental page sections represent layouts that are in the project. Now, each report section is divided into subsections, and each subsection contains all of the report elements. These subsections identify specific areas of the report and are independent of each other. If we select the top node of a report in the contents pane, we can view the updates. We can view and update the report document properties. Here you can see a summary of the report, like the data source or any row queries that we have for each report section, as well as any supplemental page metadata, including if we're adding page numbers or not. Now, almost all of the report properties in the creation process can be modified in the design view. Use the Insert Ribbon tab to add additional context to a report. These options are contextual depending on the active subsection. However, static text and graphics, we can insert that into any subsection. Now, new at 3.6, we can create a mailing label report by increasing the number of columns within the Details ribbon tab. So by default, all reports have the one lone column, and that spans the full page width. But if we increase this to 2, the Details subsection shrinks in half. We use the Show Guides. That option will allow you to help see the column spacing between each. Now, if we make it 3 columns, we now have 1/3 of the width available to place the elements. Do you see how this is cutting down? So related data can be used to create a related report. For example, states in the US. There are cities in every state. So we can add a related report to list those cities under the state. And this can be added from the Insert tab or the Details subsection context menu. After configuring the related report, a new expander is added beneath the Details subsection of the main report. It houses the subsections of the related report. Now, sub-reports are additional report sections that can be added to the report document. They can be in existing and project reports, they can be report files on disk, or you can just create a whole new one. If we create a whole new one, we're going to get that added item in our project as well. Now, supplemental pages, these are in-project layouts or even layout files that can be inserted before or after your report. Think cover page or maybe an index. The layouts are by reference, so any changes made to the layout will be reflected when you export the report. We can use the supplemental page context menu in the contents pane to open a layout and edit it straight from there. So once we have a report set up as we like it, we can share that report a couple of ways. First, we can share it as a report file. Like map and layout files, report files can be imported and reused in Pro. Now, a report file includes the report document view, any elements you added, a reference to its layer or data source, and a reference to any sub-reports or supplemental pages. The data is not included with the report file. Now, a report template is a definition file without a data source. Templates can be created from scratch or from an existing report. Now, a blank report template starts with the 5 standard subsection and looks like a normal report view. Now, because a template has no data, fields are defined a little differently. There are 3 options we can do. We can use element draw order, field index, or by name. Now, when specifying the field index, we can also add an optional feature like text or date or just say, let's use any. Statistics can only be derived using the field index and name methods. We can find familiar options on the Insert tab for a report template. I recommend using the Autofill Fields option to place multiple field elements in the element draw order. Do please note, charts and map frames will appear empty in the report template view because they are not tied to a data source. All right, let's build a report, shall we? Welcome to our data. In sunny Redlands, California, we have our Esri World, Esri Land, and Esri, oh, it didn't share. One moment.
This is the part when you know. Oh.
This is the part where you know.
You learn how to do this thing.
It's still not up. It's still showing the settings.
Interesting.
I can see that on that side. There
My
you go.
apologies.
This over there on that screen. Move your mouse over there. There you go.
Ooh.
Click that extender, the top button on the right side, the drop down. Yep, duplicate it.
Thank you.
No problem.
There we go.
Yes, we
Whoop.
did that.
Keep. There we go. Ta-da! Welcome to our Esri Parks. So we have Esri World, Esri Land, and Esri Center. Sunny Redlands, California. Y'all should come visit us sometime. So what do we want to do today? We want to create a report based on our parks. So I'm going to start from our contents pane and create a new report. This is going to allow me to skip a few things. So we're going to go with grouping, because I want to group all of this information by our parks. Because I've done it from the contents pane, we're starting with our data source and a name filled in. We're also able to pull in the visibility of our table. So these are the only fields that are currently visible, and that works for me. So I'm going to click Next. We're going to group by our park name, which will also allow us to sort it ascendingly. And I'm going to pick cool tones just so that we can have a good color to see this. Click Finish. Here is our basic report. Now, the first thing I'd like to do is make our group header taller. Let's go with 2.5 inches. And the reason I would like to do that is I'm going to insert a map frame. And what this will do is allow us to see a map that changes and shows just that grouped park. The next thing I would like to do is in our details section. Let's make this a bit bigger. I'm going to add an attachment here. All right. Now, the next thing I'd like to do is we're going to add a related report because I want to see all of the rides and places to eat and things that are going on. So in our related report, we're going to go grouping again. We're going to pick the relationship. Now, by default, I'm getting the name. I'm going to make this a little bit easier to read. I don't want everything. I'm just going to go with the top 3. We're going to group it by the attraction type, and we're going to sort it by the name. I don't need a different print setup because all of the page settings are being inherited from the main report. I am going to pick a different styling just so that we can make this a little bit easier to see. Now, notice how large this got. I'm going to take this out just for the sake of showing. Now, in our related report, I do want to add attachments down here. And I'm going to take this attachment description and just shift it over. Now, I'm going to make it wider, but I'm not going to make it taller. We have this lovely option on our details ribbon, that allows us to wrap the text elements. This is going to allow this particular width to stay the same, but it will grow or as much as it needs to accommodate the data. Now, if we preview this report, we can see our first park. Here's our attachment image, and look at how long this description is. And you can see some of them are different sizes. Now, we have this things to do table where our descriptions came from. It also includes height requirements, and then for the items that are shopping and dining, it's got an average item cost. I want to include this information. The best way to do this is to add an expression. I'm going to add this to the related report. And for the sake of typos and time, if it's a ride, we're going to pull in the height. If it's not, we're going to pull in that average cost. And I'm just going to insert this field because it is an expression. I'm going to put it down here about midway. And again, I'm going to give it width, but not height, because all of the elements in our details subsection have that, hey, wrap my text turned on. So now when we preview, here's our added items. We've got ride inches, and we've got costs for shopping. So that's reports. What about a report template? Well, if we insert a new custom template, here is our blank slate, right? We've got nothing here. First thing, we're going to need fields. So we want to put our fields in the details area. Let's add one field. We're going to do it by name. Let's go with website. I'm going to turn on this add associated label to header option because it's a great little way to quickly have an alignment between a title and the actual item that's going to be our dynamic value. I'm going to undo that addition because I'm going to make a report that has many, many fields. Remember how I said I recommend the auto fill? Let's just go with 3. Let's add labels. We now have 3. They're all aligned. The headers are there. It saves a lot of time trying to sit and micromanage and get everything perfectly lined up. So if we were to spend more than these couple of minutes, we could build a report like this. We've got a map, we've got a chart, we have values that are looking at the table to get this information. We can share this as a template. And when we share this as a template, we can then open it and see the difference of what happens. I'm going to move this beside so we can compare. Notice how our literal values here have been changed into a lookup. That's how we've got our existing report turned into a template. Saves a lot of time. Now, for the purpose of this, we want to get our report turned into a print service. So let's do that. So we have our print service report here, right? The first thing we've got to do, we've got to share this as a report file, because that's what we need this to go up as. So I'm going to call it that. All right, it exists now. Here is our print service report. Got to get this up online, right? So I'm going to add this to our service. Save. And now we have our print service report up on our server so that Tanu can take over and take us the rest of the way.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That was a great demo. Okay, so, not sure?
It's not there. Where standard.
Oh, now I am technical issues. All right, let's me change that one back to.
There we go.
Thank you so much, Noah. Keep changing it. All right, perfect. All right, so what we got so far is that we created report templates. As you know, the print service, you need to work with the templates, whether it's a layout templates or report templates. You have to work with that one, right? And you already know how to create layout templates. You have been using that forever, probably. But now you know how to create report templates. right? And probably just like a few years back to generate the report, probably you probably read some blogs, or we probably came to some of those demo theater sessions where we talked about how to write some ArcGIS-based custom solutions to generate reports, right? You don't have to do that anymore. You go to the Pro, you create report templates, and you use that. So first step was creating the report templates. Second, save it out as an RPTX file. Number 3 is upload that to Portal. And now the printing service side. So in the previous, I don't know, some of you might have gone to our previous sessions, and one thing we kind of emphasized on that one is that if you're an enterprise customer, you really don't need to publish a print service anymore, just because you want to use a custom templates. But there are some exceptions, right? This is one of the exceptions. If you have a report use case, then you have to publish your own print service. Why? Because what you're looking at right now is our default out-of-the-box print service, what gets used by the custom layout templates. This one has 2 tasks. One is the main task that actually generates the output for you and takes that in a PDF or PNG. The second one is about the layout templates. But for report templates, the client needs to be aware of some metadata. Clients like Experience Builder. If you are like writing some JavaScript-based application and you already know the details of a report, you probably would not need that. But if you want to write some generic components or something, then you have to, right? So that one, if you look at the print service that I published already, it has 3 tasks. The last one is the get report templates. This one is the gives that information about the reports. What does it have? How many sub-reports it has? All kind of fancy stuff, right? So, but how do you create that? I'll just quickly go over that process. I'm back in ArcGIS Pro, and in ArcGIS Pro, I will bring up that geoprocessing tool from tools pane from analysis tab. I can't even talk today. And as you know, the print service is powered by this export web map GP tool. So you just simply search it, it is there, you can right click and locate where those tools are. They are in the server tools, the toolboxes inside printing tool sets. And we have 3 tools, right? So just like this you're familiar with, you have to run this tool, open them, pick a folder that has your template, right? If you want to publish with some templates, and then run it. This is the template location. You don't have to do anything, just leave everything blank. The default, and then do the same thing for the other 2, right? Get reports and run them. Once you have those results, as I said, I'm not going to go to details. Once you have the results, you publish the result, including all 3 results, GP results, as a one GP service, right? Okay, that's what I have over here. Now, once I published it, how can I use it? So if you go to this export web map task, you can just simply copy the URL of that task. Now the fun part begins. You are writing your Experience Builder app. At that point, I have to mention that one thing is that this reporting right now is only supported by Experience Builder print widget. Map Viewer print widget does not support that, right? Okay, so to do that, I will bring the print widget on my application. I'll hide this one. I'll make it narrower to fit nicely. Okay, and then I'll bring up the properties for that pane, for that task. I will remove the default one. Default one is always get it from the organization. I'll remove that and use the one that I published up front, right? And apparently I already have that added. But the way you should add it is just click the Add Utility button from there, paste the URL. It says already added. I'm not going to go to that one. So in this case, it's got added. I'm going to pick it. I picked it. It actually doing those, looking at the metadata and everything and say, oh, there are some templates, we have it. These are all layout templates. Now for report, I have to create a new template. I will click the new template button. I will actually, for reporting, because it's a multi-page reporting, and only format that supports multi-page is PDF. I'm going to pick PDF is the only option here. For layout templates, I will choose, let's say, A4 portrait in this case. And that's coming from that print service itself. But for the reporting, I will actually not use anything because I did not publish it with any report templates. It's blank. You see that there is nothing. But I'm going to use the one that is you just published, right? Okay. So there is two ones right now. Okay, because I actually have that before, one. Okay, so what it did, you probably saw the brief moment, it was just doing some there was a progressor button bar came in. What it did, actually, it made the call to that get layout templates task. We saw it before here. It actually made that call to that task, get some information. It realized, oh, there are two sub reports in that one, and their names are shown, and it is asking you to set the data source for those reports. I'm going to set the data source coming from that feature layer that I have in my map. Oh, that's not the park, I'm sorry. This will be things to do. That will be park. All right, I got them done, and that's all. I'm ready to roll it out and publish it as an application. So I'm just going to go to the live mode. And in the live mode, you'll see that the template shows, oh, I'm going to rename it, my bad. I'll say that, I'll call it report. Esri Park reports. That's it. Back to live mode. I'll pick the template, and I can set the title to Esri Parks. And that's it. And I will hit print button, submit the job, and hopefully it will work. Let's keep our fingers crossed, shall we? Yes, please do that. All right, so it's gonna take a while because this is the first time probably it's hitting it, and it's a large data set. Oh, it's done already. Cool. So I open the PDF, the first page, because I chose a layout template in the first page, I'm seeing my map. And as I'm scrolling down, obviously, and you see that supplemental page, classic, awesome, good job. And here's the reports. All the attributes are coming up with the related information and attachments, everything. Isn't that crazy and easy to do? And did you write any single line of code so far? No? Can I hear it? No? No? No, thank you so much. Okay, so there you go. We're done, right? Are we done with the session then?
Yeah.
All right, good. No, we're not done yet. There's more things to show you. Okay. One thing, obviously, I believe the next question that I get asked is that, what about selection? Will the selection work? Or if I set a filter, will that work? So the answer is yes. So I'm going to select Esri land features here with my select tool. And I'll choose the lasso. There we go. Oops. All right, it's selected. Actually, I'm sorry. Which is the other one? Polygon. No, why's that not showing up? Anyways. Pick them. All right, they're all selected. Now, if I do the same thing, submit the job, this time you will actually see result only that the report section. Obviously, map will show everything, right? Map will show all the features, the SD parks, and the highlighted, the selected ones, and the results. This time will show only the ones that are highlighted on your map. And you see there are only 4 pages now, not 8 or 10 pages like before. Okay, next one, obviously, can I set a filter? Yes, let's go and set a filter. So I have a filter widget here that says, all right, I'm gonna only see Esri World, parks, and the attractions. I'm hiding everything else. Now I will go back and say, submit it. And in few moments, it should come up. There you go. The map's there. Map is filtered. So are the attributes in the report section. Right? So only showing attractions and the park information from Esri World. Right? Cool? I guess we are done then. Obviously. All right. Cool. So that's basically what it is, right? That's reporting section, right? If I wanted to have a generated report with a multi-page there, this is the steps that will follow. All right, let's switch gear to the next one. And yeah, that's fine. I'll just go. That's just all the way. to, so we get the report done. We talked about that one. We did the demo. What next? Dynamic elements in a layout templates. This is the other one that at the very beginning I mentioned there are kind of two types of reports that I usually like to call. One is a multi-page report that we saw before. Another is like that we have one single page, but I want to see some attribute information, right? And then some dynamic text elements. I want to see some table frames, some charts. Speaking of charts, charts is basically right now, if you're a JavaScript API application developer, then you can take advantage of that one. The web clients like the Experience Builder does not support charts at this point. Okay, so what we do, we'll use that again. So we'll just create a layout templates, and then we'll use that with Experience Builder print widget, right? Okay, so with that one, I will get back to Pro. And I will create a layout templates for you so that I can use it with a different data set. And I will show some attribute, what you call tables and some statistical information. Okay, so are you guys all familiar with ArcGIS Pro layout elements? Most of you, right? Are you familiar with the dynamic elements, text elements, table frame, everything? Okay, cool, a lot of you. So to insert that one, obviously you can go to the insert menu on top, and if you want to add a table, you can add a table right there, right? And you can say, all right, this is source of that table is, I'm sorry, thank you so much.
It strikes again.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right, so going back to the insert menu, and there's a table frame on that as a command, and I clicked it, and I added that as a table frame at the bottom. Right, so where'd you go? All right, we'll just add that. And then table frame, I did that twice. And there is on the property pane, is basically if you right click, open the properties, the pane comes up, and you set the source, which table that I want to use as a source, and they show up, right? And if you want to add some additional attributes, like some statistics, let's say the maximum height of the tree, or the maximum or average canopy size, then you can just go to that advanced, the dynamic text elements option from the ribbon. And if you scroll to to midway through, at the bottom actually, you will see that lots of options you have. You can pick up attributes. Basically, if you zoomed into one single stations probably, and you want to add that attributes from the station, the name of the station, when is the next bus coming out, whatnot, those are things. And if you want to add some like additional information, like statistics, minimum, maximum, range, standard deviation, all kind of fancy things you can do that, right? So what I did, for the sake of time, I actually have them all done right here, and I formatted them nicely. I'll just ungroup them so that you can take a look at each of them. So with this table, what I did, I actually wanted to show only the first 5 tallest trees in Sydney, Australia. So that's what I set it to limit that row number to 5. But I want to sort them by the size. So I went to that second tab, and there is an option called field. I added that field as a tree height, and I said, sort them in descending order. That's all I did, right? And for the other dynamic text elements, if I zoom in, you can see that probably, that I added them. I just wanted to see the total count in my visible map extent, right? All those rows show me all the features that are visible in my current extent, and the total count. I can want to use the distinct different types of, how many distinct types of species of trees we have. I can choose that one, and the maximum canopy size, okay? I can combine them into one if I wanted to, like I can copy paste and do that. That's what I did in my template. Another thing I would like to show is that if you want to have more information about dynamic text elements, you can click that link, and there is something also we call dynamic, you have something that allows you to format your text, right? Let's say if I want to make something bold, I could just simply add some text element, what we call XML element, something like bold, And that makes everything, see that? Right now it shows up as bold. So those are things all there, and you can all find them in that link. Okay, so what I did after that one, just like what Jill did before, you have to save that out as a file. So if you go up there in the sharing tab, now there is an option called layout file. You save that as a layout file, which I already did before. That becomes a PageX file, and now I'm going to upload that as a portal item, right? And we already showed them, so I already have that. I'm not going to repeat that process because I already saw that before. Okay, so I'm going to use that now with my application, right? So if I go back to my, where's that go? There you go. Okay, so I have another web application that's called Dynamic Text Element. We're going to show it. I'm going to go to the edit mode. And here I have everything already set. I'm going to add a new template this time. I'm going to say dynamic text elements of reports with dynamic text elements. It could be anything because it's one page output. It could be any format you want to. I'll pick this guy. This time I'll pick this layout. No, this one probably, is it? No, this is not this one. I'm sorry, my bad. So I'm going to actually upload that. I thought I had that uploaded already. So, all right. So I'm going to go back to my page. Developer, this guy. Hold on that. Share it out. Share to the public. Keep it simple now. Back to my app. It's showing up. All right, now see that one? It's actually recognized that there are multiple dynamic text elements we have, and it asked me to change that the data source. You know what? No, wrong. I did again wrong. So, okay, so what I will do, I'll just go through the whole process. Okay, a template, I'll say trees. Come back here. Contents. New app item. Where'd you go? Why did I save it? Thought I saved it, right? Nope. This guy. Ah. Lots of technical difficulties. We're running good. Thanks for being patient with us, especially with me. And apologize. We can share that. What do we want? Now back to that list, the trees. And I see all those elements that I'm looking at, right? So I'm going to have a table template, table frame. I'm going to set that. I'm going to give that the layer. What is the source of that layer for that element? For all four of them. If you actually had them grouped, then you had seen them only one time. That's a good thing about this Experience Builder print widget. Now that I have all of them set, I can go to live mode, and hopefully it will just work. There is that print report templates that I just created. I'll just set it to PNG now this time, and I'll say submit the job. And oh, it failed. Okay, it failed again. As a technical support, I will see what we can do, but it's supposed to work. And you will actually see that the table that you saw before. My apologies again. You see that same one, and it actually very dynamic. So if you zoom in and zoom out, it actually shows the correct results. So yeah, with that one, we're back to my slides to recap. Is it showing up? Mm-hmm. All right, cool. Okay. One thing is that custom print service, we kind of touched base in the previous tech session too. There's some cases you really need to have some workflow that may not be supported by the out-of-the-box print services. So you really need to write your own ArcPy-based solution. And this is where the ArcPy-based custom print service comes in the picture. Like this is an example, right, where I'm showing multiple watershed, and each page actually is a multi-page output from the print service, but each page showing information about single highlight watershed that you selected with some additional attributes and the charts and everything. And one example we showed is that if a very common case too, that you have too many legends, like the trees, for example, or soil data that doesn't fit on the same page, but you want to have that roll over to the next page, and how we can do that, right? Okay. Now, to read that one, as we talked about before, for reporting capability, right, the one that we showed with that requires the report templates, that we need to have a custom print service. You cannot use that with out-of-the-box print service. That's because out-of-the-box print service does not have that get report templates task. Okay, you can upload that as a report template. You create that the way Jill showed. You author that in Pro. You set that out as a RPTX file and upload that as a report template. Okay, we talked about two things when it comes to report. So one is RPTX file, another is RPTT. RPTX's file is what we used, and it is very data bound. So you need to know exactly upfront that this is the report that I'm creating for this particular data set, right? Especially when I talk about data bound, this basically means the field name must match. Whereas RPTT is open, it can create once, but it can be used with any data sets with a different data schema, right? The reason we have an asterisk on top of that one, because it is only supported by JavaScript-based custom application right now. Okay. And then next one is obviously you can display the attributes as map surrounds on your layout templates. That was the second case I was talking about, and hopefully we still have some time to see whether we can debug it on the fly. What's going on there, right? That would be crazy, wasn't it? We'll do that. Okay. Right now, reporting, for example, is supported for only feature layers. The first one we talked about, the multi-page reporting, that is supported right now only for feature layers. But hopefully we'll support that map image layer coming up soon. Actually, ArcGIS Online, the recent updates that we did with that one, you can actually use that for dynamic text elements. On the second case, I'm talking about a single page with the dynamic text elements and the table frames. You can do it, but the reports is not something supported with the sublayers coming from map image layer. Okay. And reporting, obviously, ArcGIS Online print service, the one we have, that doesn't support that. And we talked about that default print service does not support it, right? We talked about that one. And Map Viewer currently doesn't have that support for reports, right? Neither of them. We showed two types. Neither of them supports it. We talked about portal report templates. The whole thing we did today was that everything was a portal item. We did not actually have any reports that is a part of that print service to begin with. Some resources we have here. Just take some picture if you want.
Photos, let's give a moment.
Okay, thank you. Got it. Okay, but before I get to that one, because we have some time, let's do some debugging and see what's going on there. All right, back there in my app. So to debug it, sorry. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, okay. I will blame it on Friday. How about that?
Friday the 13th.
Oh,
Is it 13?
it is Friday the 13th. That
Obviously.
explains everything.
Everything. It's not my, it's absolutely not my fault at this point. Okay, let's do debugging. All right. So one thing, whenever something fails, what I do usually is that I open this web developer tools from browser, right? And I submit, oh, what's that thing? I don't want that. Okay, I submit a job, and I see what's going on. What is the error message that I'm getting back? So because my print service is running in async mode, I'm sorry, not sync mode. That's why you see that execute, type here, file or the task. If it were an async one, you would have seen submit job. What is that? Operation. I'm sorry. And then we can see the request that's going out. It says, oh, this is the JSON that describes the whole map itself. And it says, okay, I'm using this layout item, which is portal item. And I want, client says, I want output in the PNG file. And the error message that I'm getting, it says, invalid template. Invalid layout template. The template is, it could not find the layout template. It's missing. Okay, let's see what is missing. I'm going to use, no, probably okay. If I go to my portal, we have still a few more minutes. We'll see whether we can do it in a couple of minutes, right? I have this print task. At the bottom, we have this print task that I was planning to use, printing. And let me copy the URL. Back in my app, I will be in the design mode. Open the properties page. I will start from the scratch. I'll delete this guy. My printing task, remove it, start from the scratch. If it doesn't work, oh, this is not that one. I have to go back to that page again. It's because I need to get that URL for that export web map task itself, right? Add that, done it, pick it up. All right, now I will choose a template. I will create a template. I'll say test. This is not printing to this guy. Incorrect URL probably. Add tool, add that. All right, this is my last attempt. I'll try it again, create a new one. I'll call it untitled, I'll leave it there, PNG, and then this guy, trees. I'll set up my data source. Set my data source. Data source. The same one I'm using for all those dynamic text elements. Go back in live mode. I'll make sure that developer task is open. I'll clean it up so that we know what's going on. And hopefully we'll be able to fix it. If not, we're gonna open it up for the questions. Hopefully we'll not ask why it is not working. It did work. It did work. Yes, we did it. We nailed it.
And in the promised 2 minutes.
Yes. And I got into panic mode because I pretended. This is all part of the show, though, right? It was not planned ahead, I promise you. Or it was planned ahead, I don't know. Anyways, with that one, back to my slides. Back here. So, oh, not here, I'm sorry. That one. Cool. Oh, why am I going back to the same page? Random text elements all the way at the bottom. So yeah, my bad again. Again, these are part of the planning. I all plan everything perfectly and deliver that nicely. Okay, so we're gonna open up for the question right now. But you saw that the one thing is that you saw that how we can debug it, right? Which is very critical when something actually fails in the printing service case. So with that, please give us a feedback, and we're going to open it up for question, I guess.
We have
Yes.
one right here. Yes, ma'am.
Use that to connect to different data sources, so a separate database, for example, a Postgres database.
So the question is, can you use this workflow to connect a report to a different database or even a data source within maybe the same Postgres database?
So the example that you showed in ArcGIS Pro, obviously you started with, in your case, started with a local data set, like Enterprise or file database. It doesn't matter where it is, right? Or you could have actually started that from a feature service layer or web feature layer, what we call, right? You can do that. But that's in the Pro. Like when you create a template and you actually use that with the print service, it doesn't actually have any connection to your data set at that point. It actually uses the feature service or a feature layer of a map service for that. So you have to have, at that point, it all web map bound, right? It doesn't have any connection to your original data that's coming from file database or Postgres, but you have to publish it as a map service, a feature service or map service to begin with, right?
Do we have a question from online, perhaps?
We do?
Yeah. No.
All right. So this question is from Vanessa, and it has 3 votes. And she asked, is it possible to use dynamic elements pulled in from Portal? For example, an application where users can print items and we need to display their usernames.
Great question. Not most of the thing, but the username, like the portal username, the user who connected to, or connect to the web application, and you will be using the print service. It is something that we are working on to support. So as of today, it doesn't work unless you write some ArcPy-based solution as a workaround. But hopefully, in the next release or so, we're going to support that. So you can see your portal user's name printed in the output. Right.
And then, oh, yes, sir. The question is, can you use this workflow to drill down from a near me data intersect result? Just an intersected result?
Yeah, so I believe you're talking about the near me widget, right? Absolutely. So we worked with that solution team very closely, and we made sure that works. A lot of requirements came from them. So yes, you can, there's a blog post about that one. I can show it to you in a second. And yeah, it talks about how you can get the result and you can print it out for using print service. I'm sorry?
That's only on the client or server side?
If I missed, oh yeah, thank you. So if I recall correctly, they actually support both. You can do client side, but the client side is like limited format. They have their own format, that's you can do. But if you want to have your own branding and formatting, then you have to use the server side, the print service, yeah.
And I believe we had a follow-up question from our original.
Yep, so totally different though. For related tables, so say you have a survey and you have related tables within the survey. In the past, you could only have the data from the main table, and then after that, you could have a section with the data from the related tables. Can you have data from the related tables within the section, the main section, or does it have to be afterwards so that it reflects the actual flow instead of here's all this data and here's all this data?
So the question is, can we use related data in the main primary portion of the report? And There's not, unfortunately, there's not at this time. We've got to have a way to connect those two. And if we're talking one-to-many, how do we get that to cycle through all of the minis? That's kind of the wall that we've hit. So not at this time, no, I'm afraid not. Yes, over here.
Can I just quickly interrupt?
Yes.
So I just put that on that screen with the blog link that I talked about moments ago.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. And then I believe we had another question over here. Yes.
Is there a way to use dynamic text to credits for the services of the web map?
The question is there a way to use dynamic text to reflect the credits that are used, for example, like a base map in the web map?
Right now, I'm going to like leave base map credits and not any of like my own services that are added.
So
You should.
we are able to read base map credits, but not for like my own personal owned services.
You should be, though. It is, I mean, there's multiple ways you can do that, like custom text elements we talked about. If you want to, you can add that thing on the client side that will flow through. Or in the dynamic text elements, actually, we have something called service layer credits. You can use that one. You know, all the dynamic text element drop down I showed, there is one called service layer credits. You can add that. You should be able to add that. If it doesn't work, we can follow through after the session and see what's going on there. Yeah.
I believe we have another online question.
Yes, so Nicholas says, I have a web map in ArcGIS Online. If I want to report with a dynamic map frame, do I have to author an RPTX in ArcGIS Pro first and publish it as a custom print service, or is there a way to do this entirely in the web interface?
The answer is no. You have to use Enterprise right now. Reporting capability is not supported in ArcGIS Online, so you must have Enterprise, and you have to have the custom print service. Is not going to work with the out-of-the-box print service. Remember, I showed at the very beginning that the reason it's not going to work is because out-of-the-box print service has only 2 tasks, and we need the third one, right? So. And obviously, there's an additional parameter in the export web map tool called report templates parameter, and the out-of-the-box print service doesn't have that parameter. So those are the main reasons we cannot. Yeah. Any other online questions?
There was one more. Jose asked, can you print a report with both public and non-public content from Enterprise?
Answer is yes. You can use both public and non-public contents within Enterprise. Absolutely, yes.
And then we had one here.
Are there any plans to support some type of document types in the future?
The question is, are there any plans to support other document types in the future?
Something like actual Word documents or open source documents?
Such as a Word document or open source document?
You're talking about in context of reporting, right? Right now, we do not do that with out-of-the-box print service. If I'm not mistaken, if you're ArcGIS Online, Survey 123 probably supports some kind of reporting that allows you to create something in the Microsoft Word and use that as a template. But that's not something you can use with print service right now. But that's something we can take a look at. Absolutely.
I think we have time for one more.
With the example that you showed having a print service in Enterprise, can you print from an ArcGIS Online Experience Builder, but then hit that Enterprise print service?
The question is, can you use the ArcGIS Online print service to point to the Enterprise print service?
Absolutely, yes, you can do that. The answer is yes. Only thing you will not be probably able to use, I have to double check whether you can use the report portal item. I have to double check on that one. Probably you will be able to, but I have to double check on that. But if you already publish a print service with the templates, absolutely you can use that with ArcGIS Online Experience Builder app. Great questions.
And I believe
Wow.
at that point we're out of time. But yes, thank you. These were wonderful questions.
Thank you
Hope
so much.
enjoyed.
Yep.